shampoo e shampoo. Almeno adesso si sta bene. Come faccio con il viso? Già la fermata per la seconda.
Guys, we're back in Needham today, and behind me you can see that we're starting to install all of our Rockwool comfort bat. So our installation detail on this is a 2x6 wall with the R23 comfort bat made by Rockwool being installed on all of the exterior walls, and then we're going to be doing our vapor retarder, which is a Siga My Vest. You can see the guys are stuffing the cavities here. Around the windows we've used a low expansion foam. A couple of things I want to point out is, number one, when you guys are installing this, you want to be using a serrated blade to cut this stuff. But also when you're working around wiring, you want to make sure that you split that bat and get the wiring kind of set in the middle. Otherwise you're going to over compress the bat and thus not getting that true R value. Where we're standing here right now is the pantry on the first floor, but why don't we go up to the second floor, because we had a big milestone and we actually got this all inspected and signed off. So the whole second floor, as well as the roof, is already insulated. You can see standing in here in one of the bedrooms, all of our exterior walls are insulated with the comfort bat, but we're also insulating all of our interior walls. Why do we do that? Bedrooms, bathrooms, things like laundry rooms are areas that we're going to be insulating with the comfort bat for sound. It makes it a lot more comfortable so sound isn't traveling unnecessarily if someone's deciding to sleep in. Other areas that we're going to be installing it is around mechanical equipment such as air handler units. And I actually want to call attention to that real quick. Air handlers, want to be really intentional about the location of them when it comes to sound. So if you're installing an air handler, in this case we have one in the attic, we did not want to install it above a bedroom, because when that thing kicks on and off, you know, despite how you install it, you can add rubber dampers, you can insulate above it and around it, you're still going to have that low pitched hum, and we want to avoid that at all costs. So we want to try to move that mechanical equipment away from any bedrooms or things like that. Same thing with the basement. Again, you can see all of the Rockwool insulation is installed. You can actually see our roof insulation here too. So one of the things that we talked about in the episode, and this was an evolving conversation over time, is that we were trying to install insulation with a vented assembly. So what is a ventilated roof? A ventilated roof is when the bottom side of the roof is actually vented from the soffit all the way up to the ridge. The ridge is that peak of the roof. Unfortunately, due to the framing complexity and the structural complexity of this home, despite our best efforts, we could not get this entire roof vented. We were going to end up inevitably with a bunch of areas that had to be foamed due to us being able to achieve the particular R value that is required by code. So we looked at the economics of that and realized that the best way to approach this entire roof was to spray the whole roof. And that's a hybrid approach, mixed between closed cell as well as open cell. That closed cell essentially gets us that impermeable R value to a certain point, and then the rest of that is open cell below that in order for us to hit our R value. So that's why you're going to see some of these areas foamed and then some of these areas Rockwool. The Rockwool actually gets us our code compliance within the wall. Mike's got a blower door test scheduled for the end of this week. They're going to wrap up installation on the first floor. They're going to get all the vapor retarder on the walls, everything taped up, and we're going to do a blower door test at that point. Why? Well, we don't need to by code. We need to do a blower door test at the very end. But if we do it now, we can actually chase down any of those miscellaneous leaks that might be, troublesome later on before we put board up, because we got board scheduled next week. We're gonna be rolling into plaster, rolling into finishes. We want that one last opportunity to chase down a leak that maybe we're not seeing on the off chance. Actually, I'll point out a great example of one. At the end of the day, might not be troublesome to us when board is installed and everything else, but it's an opportunity for us to chase it down right now. I actually saw it earlier, but if you look through that sheathing, there's a couple nail holes with light coming through it. And why is it there? Well, they're actually taking brackets down right now because they just wrapped up the brick on that facade. We see the light, and we're gonna make sure that we get up there and tape that up. But say we did miss that, when we do that blower door test, we can actually take a fog machine, and that blower door test is going to create pressure within the home, positive pressure, which that means that's gonna push that fog out of the home. And then at that point, we can figure out exactly where those leaks might be before we close the walls up. So as we continue to walk through the second floor, you notice all of these interior walls are all insulated. Again, for the bedroom, right here, we have the laundry room. But I want to go back downstairs and I want to show you guys outside. So the guys actually just removed the scaffolding from this first gable, and they're working their way and setting up the second and final gable on this house. But a quick reminder, this brick was actually reclaimed from a train station in New Hampshire. Shout out to Justin Stone Sorcerer on Instagram for helping us acquire this. Apparently some of you guys that watch the YouTube videos have been reaching out to him asking for this brick. So we got to make sure that we secure just an extra before you guys gobble all this up. But it's beautiful, you know, sporadic pattern of white brick and different size brick, really kind of what we're going for in this home. One of the things that we keep talking about with this home is we want it to look like it was always there. Quick story on that, that's really why these two trees are here on the property. I think I've said it before, but this sweet gum to the right of me, allegedly the oldest sweet gum in New England, I believe is what I was told, at over 150 years old. And I don't recall what that one over there is, but that one also is old. But the point is that when this home is done, these trees have been here for a very long time, and the home is designed to look that way as well. So we have this gable here, and it's all brick all the way up, and then we have the brick stopping underneath the windows, and then a little bit higher elevation on the left where it is set back, and then that will get a cedar shingle, very similar to the dark gray cedar shingle over there. And you're seeing a multitude of products here. We have the cedar shingle. A lot of you guys have asked. It's Maybeck. It's a double dipped gray, dark gray. So it's pre-stained, pre-dipped before it's installed. And then we have our boral fly ash material, which is a profile made by Duration Molding and Millwork, which is a nickel gap. And then we have our brick, and then we have paneling around these windows, which will be more of like a millwork detail, and that will all get painted. I do want to call out, we have all this white window trim. It's not staying white. The water table isn't staying white. The water table is that trim at the bottom there, actually. All of the trim is going to be a dark gray, and that gray is going to be a multitude of different tones, meaning like dark, medium, and light. But ultimately this home will be a lot more moody than this white trim kind of outlines it looking like right now. As I work our way up, you know, this window here is bricked completely in. You have that nice course underneath that window. You have our steel lintel, and then at the top, I want to call attention to that. I forget there's a term for that, and maybe we can dub that in the video. We have essentially these four squares, kind of in the shape of a cross. On the back of them, they're white. The white will actually get painted a dark gray to match the trim color, but I want to call attention to the far right one. All of them are actually just an architectural detail, which maybe, you know, alludes back to venting in, you know, some of the older brick homes. Being that this is a brick facade on top of a weather-tight plywood, that is a detail that is essentially faux. But that far right one, if you look really, really closely, you'll see that it has a louvered piece of material in there. And that louvered piece of material actually ties back to the second floor bathroom vent for this front bedroom. Mike actually came to me and said, hey, I've been working on all of these vent locations. I'm trying to make sure that we don't have any of these ugly vents on the front of the home. You know, this includes plumbing vents, kitchen exhaust vent, kitchen exhaust intake, ERV intake, ERV exhaust, bathroom exhaust, you know, and then we have multiple bathrooms. And this was his solution, which I think is a killer solution, because once that's all painted dark gray and you stand back, you'll never know that one of them is functional. Unlike a laundry vent, a bathroom vent doesn't need to be removable on the outside. You don't ever really have to clean it, and plus you can pull the fan down from in the bathroom. And a laundry vent, you're gonna want that more serviceable, and I wouldn't want that to be a laundry vent anyway, because if that were to be exhausting lint per se, that would be getting all over the brick and just essentially really ugly. And it would also be steaming in really cold weather because it would be exhausting that hot air. Really great detail there. We have some other vents that we'll show you as they come to fruition on this project that I think the guys have worked really hard at making sure that they were aesthetically pleasing. And of course, lastly, you know, we continue with the Da Vinci multi-width slate install. They're doing a great job. They're getting into this curved valley here, wrapping up the primary suite, and essentially wrapping up the install here in the next couple weeks. It's been a slow, methodical process, but We've had multiple people, including architects, walk through this job, and even they're fooled that it's not a real slate product, which was the intent. And I think that has a lot to do with the fact that we're using that multi-width product, that you have that varying widths, and the guys are taking their time making sure that they're not cutting any pieces in the field, or even more importantly, cutting any pieces on the end. They're using full pieces and being really intentional with that install. So kudos to the team here. Kudos to Mike and Liz on this project for getting this project to through rough inspection, through a partial installation inspection with the intent to be fully inspected for installation by the end of the week. And then we're gonna roll into blue board and plaster. Before you guys ask, why do you guys blue board and plaster here? Save it for another video. We'll see you guys next week.